The discussion this morning was incredible and extremely important, and I'm sorry to disrupt it in a way with a completely different perspective. I think I'm one of the few people in the room who is not a medical professional. And a few others back there putting their hands up, but literally, probably only 5 of us.
Наверное, 5 из нас вот здесь присутствующие не медики. И мне жаль, что я прерываю как бы в какой-то степени своим выступлением ту интересную тему. 42 года мне сделали аборт в одной из британских больниц. Это была не очень приятная процедура. В Великобритании в тот момент было очень сильное движение, потом было серьезное давление против абортов, и все хотели ограничить закон. Я не участвовала, но я об этом как бы не вспоминаю, что я не участвовала. Я хочу поговорить, сказать вам, почему женщины такие, как я, стали участвовать вот в этом, во всех медицинских и юридических вопросах с тем, чтобы вопросы гендерного равенства и права на выбор и прочее для женщин начали продвигаться, существовать и поддерживаться. То есть мое выступление будет работа в сетях. Я посмотрела, что такое сеть. И в основном в интернете объяснение связано с компьютером. Но вообще-то это постоянные взаимосвязанные группы, организации, индивидуумы, у которых которые разделяют общее мнение, которых и желают установить общие связи, и взаимодействуют, и обмениваются информацией с другими людьми, группами, с другими лицами для того, чтобы установить взаимоблагоприятные связи, социальные контакты. Вот этим мы и занимаемся с тех времен, как мы организовали нашу сеть. Вот это примеры сетей в области сексуального и
They're regional. They're in Asia, in Latin America, in Eastern Europe, in Central Europe, in North America, and the list is growing all the time. And the one at the top, the International Campaign for Women's Right to Safe Abortion, is the youngest, and it was started in 2012. And it came out of the International Consortium for Medical Abortion, which Radhika mentioned just now, which she was the coordinator of from 2005 until 2013-14. And we were working together on that, putting medical abortion on the map for women. And then it morphed into the campaign. So the campaign is currently a network of more than 1,300 groups and individuals in 120 countries, and it's growing very rapidly. And this is our vision and our mission, a world where abortion is a woman's right and access to safe abortion is universal. And you know how far away we are from that. To bring together organizations and individuals with an interest in promoting the right to safe abortion and providing abortion services. So all of us, all of you, to provide a shared platform for advocacy, debate, and dialogue on how to achieve the right to safe abortion, and to create, collect, and disseminate information that can inform advocacy, service delivery, policy, and programs. And obviously the discussion about protocols and guidelines is a central part of that, and agreement on what those are and how in the world to get people to follow them is extremely important. And I think we've learned that since yesterday, although we all knew it beforehand. The campaign has a lot of activities and very few staff. I want to recognize that Daniela Draghici was the first coordinator of the campaign. She worked 1 day a week. She got almost no money, but she made the campaign an entity, and I want to appreciate that. We have now grown hugely. I'm working full-time. I have 4 part-time staff. That's really large compared to 1 person, 1 day a week. And what we're doing is producing a twice-weekly newsletter There's a huge amount of news about abortion from around the world. It's really difficult to keep up with providing it to everybody. We have a website full of information. You can have a look at it. We do social media very actively. We support the work of our members. We do press releases. We have a list of journalists in over 60 countries, and we send them news all the time, and we see them publishing it. So if you have news and you want it shared, send it to me and we'll get it out there. We do research on trials and imprisonment of women and providers. We try to bring members together. We organized a forum in September this year of 110 of our members. We do coalition building. We coordinate the 28th of September, which is the International Safe Abortion Day. I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. We published a statement. We wrote to the Pope this week. We wrote to the Pope this week because of some very negative statements that he made in June and October about abortion. So if you join the campaign, you'll be able to read the newsletter in which we wrote to him. We respond to consultations by UN human rights bodies, and we attend and do presentations at workshops, conferences, and lectures, particularly for medical students. International Safe Abortion Day has been celebrated since 1990 in Latin America. It's been celebrated globally since 2011. This year, the theme was normalizing abortion. It's part of our lives. Let's talk abortion. Because 1 in 4 pregnancies globally, 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in an induced abortion. That's how normal abortion is in women's lives. This year we made 3 statements. The first was about personal experiences. We published a whole newsletter with personal experiences about abortion. We published a newsletter with 28 examples of progress and successes for abortion rights in 2018. This has been an incredible year around abortion. And we published a statement from the campaign as well, talking about the theme of normalizing abortion. These are all on our website. The forum that we organized in September was the work of almost 2 years. Most of that was waiting for somebody to give us enough money to invite people. But we spent a good 6 months writing the agenda. And the agenda had 3 main themes. The first one is how medical abortion pills are forcing everyone to reconceptualize access to abortion. The second was working towards decriminalization, which everybody is doing separately at country level in many, many different ways, and not working together enough, I think, to figure out how to address this subject, which is very complicated by conservative policy and politicians. And then how to do advocacy and campaigning, and we had a whole day of regional and national case studies of what was happening at country level. It was the most action-packed event ever organized. We had plenary speakers in the morning, and after every speaker we had discussion, very much like what you're doing here. And in the afternoons we had 5 workshops each of the 3 days. And these are just four examples of those workshops. First, creating a national grassroots movement of women, how to do that. Secondly, youth engagement and participation in the campaign, and sharing experiences of working as young women on abortion rights. I can remember being in my 20s when I started this work, and a lot of the women who came to this meeting were in their 20s. And I could see my younger self running around the room saying, we have a right to space, we want to be listened to, we're going forward, we're not going to stop this, and so on. It was very heartening. And lastly, and very importantly, I think for all of you, is the development of safe abortion information hotlines, which is something that began in Latin America, where there are now 12 national hotlines, at least. It moved to Asia, where there are, I believe, 8 national hotlines, and now it's opened in Africa, and there are approximately 8 or 10, and there are more hotlines opening every couple of months in Africa. There are a few hotlines in Europe, one in Germany primarily for Polish women, and one in Britain primarily for Irish and Northern Irish women. These hotlines are run by non-medical professionals, they're run by feminists. They give the information that comes from WHO on abortion to women, on medical abortion pills, and they advise women how to have a safe abortion on their own if necessary. And women are buying pills on the internet in one form or another all over the world, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. In fact, I have to say to you that we have no idea how many abortions there are in the world anymore, because women are buying pills and using them without talking to anybody about it before, during, or after. So these hotlines are playing a crucial role. And the group Women Help Women, which is based in the Netherlands, is doing a lot of support work to set up these hotlines in almost every country. Decriminalization of abortion is not just a legal issue, it's a social issue. It's a way of thinking about abortion, that abortion is not a bad thing, that reducing abortion is not a good thing, because women need abortions in the same way as they need contraception. And they need abortions when contraception didn't work, wasn't used, and when it's too late to use contraception. Abortion is criminalized in practically every country, and this is something really that we have to stop as soon as possible. In the meeting, we talked about promoting self-management and very early use of medical abortion. It's been shown that the pills are effective as soon as a woman misses a period. There's no reason why she shouldn't take them right away and use them. We are documenting women's stories and the human cost of criminalized, illegal, unsafe abortion. We had conversations such as, is it better to campaign for abortion rights as a single issue or in a broader way, as part of with family planning, with sexual and reproductive health and rights, or as abortion in a broader women's rights agenda? These are all ways that people have worked nationally over the past years. But these are the priorities that we came up with. We talked a lot about the need for abortion following rape and sexual abuse, and the extent of resulting unwanted pregnancy, which has come out most in Latin America so far, and in India. Cases have been more and more in the news of girls aged 8 to 15 getting pregnant from sexual abuse from family members, from teachers, and so on, and nobody recognizing they're pregnant until they're showing very much and starting to feel bad from the pregnancy. And there was an agreement to call for an absolute right to abortion in all these cases. We talked about the diversity of anti-abortion views. Daniela's presentation yesterday was one very broad spectrum picture of what it means to be anti-abortion, but in fact in Africa it's a completely different picture, and in other regions as well. And we felt that it was very important not to put them all in one box, any more than all of us fit into one box. We pushed the idea of a strategic assessment with WHO in the meeting, and Radhika led that discussion with a colleague, and I'm glad it's coming up again here. I've been promoting this ever since it was first put out by WHO. I think it's one of the most important things that you can do to try and improve the situation in the country, because it starts from the leadership at the top and goes down to the NGO level and women to have conversations and look at the national situation. And then we talked about promoting abortion services for migrant, refugee, and displaced women and girls, which is a major problem in regions like the Middle East. in Lebanon, where there are just thousands and thousands of Syrian women who have no access to services. And lastly, we called for an end to all laws on abortion globally, and we had a very inspiring conversation, which is visionary and not realistic, but still, that instead of working country by country, fighting for every legal ground one at a time, that we should work together and call for an end to all laws criminalizing abortion. Right now, the only country that has achieved that is Canada, and that happened in a Supreme Court case in 1988, thanks to an obstetrician gynecologist called Henry Morgenthaler. But since 1988, no country has followed and achieved that. And I'm getting close to the end. I want to tell you about a call in France, which I think was really a very forward-looking way. The French High Council on Equality between Women and Men published a call earlier this year for the revision and modernization of the Constitution to guarantee equality between women and men. And among their recommendations are the constitutional right to access contraception and abortion. And because almost every country has approved CEDAW on equality between women and men, this becomes a human right that every country is in a position to have to provide. And not to do so is seen in this position as a form of discrimination against women on the ground of sex and a denial of women's human rights. So it's a totally different way of fighting for the right to abortion, and I think it's worth promoting. The other things that we talked about in the meeting were about seeking support across relevant fields of expertise, health professionals with a public health remit, law, gender and human rights experts, pro-choice religious bodies and leaders. They're not all anti-abortion, on the contrary. Women's groups and NGOs, crucial. Seeking public support. There are a lot of women out there who've had an abortion and nobody asks them their opinion afterwards. Nobody calls them up to make a statement. Media support. If you can find intelligent, informed journalists, they can be hugely supportive in your cause. Seeking political support, parliamentarians, political party members and leaders, health system managers, government ministers. And lastly, something which, again, everybody always forgets, is a critical mass of support. There are so many issues calling for attention at the government level. They all have priority. How do you get your issue up, push it up the priority ladder so that it gets attention? And how you do that is to build a critical mass of support, and particularly among women, and particularly among young women. And this photograph is an example of doing that. This is Argentina in the summer, during the vote in the parliament. This is tens of thousands of people in the street outside the parliament building. 15 hours they were there in the rain, shouting, calling for legalization of abortion. That's a critical mass of support, and that has motivated and inspired people all over the world ever since. Hard to achieve. When it happens, there's nothing like it. And then Radhika asked me to finish by saying what makes a network successful. And if I had a photograph of all of you, I would put it here instead. But this is a photograph from Lisbon, from our forum. And that's my answer to her question. Thank you.